Hey guys, what is up? It's SpecGamer12 here for my review on Kong Skull Island. Before we start, I'd just like to make a few points. Yes, I'm wearing 3D glasses. I'll be wearing these for my movie reviews. It just separates my film reviews from my Madden gameplay, from the videos that we'll be doing, a bit of like crossbar challenge with my mates. So that's happening. Second is that a few weeks ago I went to saw Logan, like a lot of people did, I know. And I was going to do a review on Logan, but I decided not to because I was a bit late. But I'd just like to say at the start of this video that I absolutely loved it. So much, in fact,
It almost made me cry.
but that's not important. My point is that having seen that and felt so much for a movie, and then going from that to the next week and watching Kong Skull Island, you're going to be expecting a little bit more from a movie after having seen Logan and then going to see Kong Skull Island. I didn't let it sway my review. Well, I tried to anyway. So here we go, let's get this review started. The first thing I'd like to mention is the characters. John C. Reilly's character was, I think, really good. He was the standout character for me. I also think that Samuel L. Jackson's character was great as well. Both, I felt, had something to drive with. I know that John C. Reilly's character, his friend had died, been killed by a skullcrawler. He seemed to be full of knowledge, but didn't have anything to show that he had the knowledge, if you understand. He came at everything with such a long history of knowing what he's doing. And then Samuel L. Jackson's character, he's so great, Samuel L. Jackson. He's so great, and he got me to believe that this man wanted more war. And I think his character was really summed up in that line that I think Tom Hiddleston's character said, where he said, no one really ever comes back from war, not really. And I think that really sums up him. He left for war, but he never really came back, and that was his purpose, was war. So yeah, those were the pros of the characters, but I think here comes the cons. I felt like Tom Hiddleston's character was a little bit undeveloped. I felt like they were trying to go for someone really cool, someone really badass that they could sort of make everyone love, but he felt a little bit underdeveloped. He didn't really seem like he was doing anything important. There was no real need for him to be there. I didn't feel like he needed to be there, and that's not really something you want from your badass character. I also felt like Brie Larson's character was a little bit out of place at times. She was sort of just there. You know, she was taking pictures, she was smiling, she was interacting with those, the locals, the indigenous people, but other than that, she just sort of was there, and she wasn't needed. That was the problem, and I think a lot of these characters, they weren't needed. What are you doing? Go away, I'm doing the video. Okay. So I think a big problem with this movie was there weren't enough characters that I felt like I could relate with, or even just like in general. And then that brings me to my next point, which is the monsters and King Kong himself. Now, what I did like that Kong was explained to us to be quite adolescent. He wasn't fully grown yet. He was still young. He was like a teenager. And that did actually show a lot. When he fought that squid and then he ate and he ripped it apart and then he started eating it, I was thinking, what is going on? But then when I found out that he was actually eating like a teenager, he's always hungry, always eating, always moody, sitting down, watching this, he's hurt himself. It felt very, very real. What's important is I felt like they did that well. They showed that he was an adolescent very well. What I also liked about the other monsters were the skull crawlers. I did actually really like the skull crawlers. Now, when I first saw them, they had like the 2 legs. I thought, well, that's just completely ridiculous. No animal would have just 2 big legs and then 1 long tail. But after seeing them fight King Kong, they felt really real. Their movements and the way they fought, the way they wrapped their tail around his waist and then ripped at him from above, that felt real. I felt like that was actually an animal that could exist, and that was really good. And I felt overwhelmed at the idea that, Jesus, if that actually existed, we'd all be dead. That, for me, really created a sense of reality and grounded it. Whereas with the humans, they didn't really ground it in reality for me, which they're supposed to do. I think for me, the humans being there is supposed to make it feel real, but they didn't. It was actually the monsters themselves that made it feel real.